Okay, so here we're going to do a little ditty on the urinary tract of the large animal. When we look at the equine, remember that the left kidney is always going to be the one that's more caudal, and so we find it in the horse ventral to the last rib and the first 2 or 3 lumbar transverse processes. This one is palpable per rectum. Whereas the right kidney is going to be more cranial, it's going to be ventral to the last 2 or 3 ribs and the first lumbar process. In the bovine, we find that it's relatively more caudal, the left kidney being beneath the 2nd or 3rd to the 5th lumbar vertebra. And remember that it kind of has a little bit longer mesentery, so it kind of dangles, which allows, when the rumen is full, for the kidney to get pushed over to the right side. So this one is palpable. It'll be more to the left when the rumen is not full. Whereas the right kidney is going to be ventral to the last rib and the first 2 or 3 lumbar processes, and is not normally palpable per rectum. It does not dangle on the right side. Okay, the whale kidney is very lobated, as we see here. And the bovine kidney, you notice that it was somewhat lobated, but we will see that those lobes are fused. Okay, so here we've got a section through to show that the cortex is kind of like a cap, and the pyramid is basically what the medulla is here. At the tip of the pyramid we have the papilla. The papilla empties into a space known as a calyx, where we have the fusion of the adjacent cortical caps. That region there of the cortex is referred to as a column. Okay, in this image we have a number of calyces. You see that the calyces are all draining into the ureter. Now in the porcine, similar to what we see in the human, the cortex is more evenly fused so that we cannot see that lobation externally, but we do still see that there are renal pyramids present, and those of course are going to empty into calyces. Those calyces are going to join and empty into the ureter. Okay, so if we cut the canine kidney transversely, we can see that the medulla is very similar in appearance to the pyramid. We have the fused papilla forming our renal crest, and our fused calyces forming our renal pelvis. Okay, remember when we cut off center on the canine kidney, we could see the remnants of the renal pyramid with the interlobular artery and vein going between them there. Okay, so this fusion, this more complete fusion that we see in the canine, we also see in the equine. So here we have the cortex, here we have the medulla. We're going to have a renal crest emptying into the renal pelvis. Now because the polar ends of the kidney, the cranial and caudal ends of it, are much longer than what we see in the canine kidney, we find that the papillary ducts actually, near those ends, empty into what's called the terminal recess. So this is not part of the pelvis, but it does empty into the pelvis. Okay, so here is an actual equine kidney. We see the cortex, we see the medulla. The renal crest is right there, it's very small. Terminal recess extends out to either side like this. Here we have the renal pelvis, which then empties into the ureter. Okay, remember that area around the ureter and the renal vessels that contains fat is the renal sinus. Remember that the kidneys are retroperitoneal, as are the ureters for most of their course. The right kidney in the horse is said to be more heart-shaped, whereas the left is more kidney-shaped. Remember, the ureter of the horse contains those mucus glands, which contributes to the cloudy appearance of the urine in the horse. And remember, when the bladder is full, it's going to press upon the ureter as it comes in at an angle here to block off so we don't get backflow of the urine up the ureter. Okay, one last image here. So here we've opened up the urinary bladder. We see the remnant of the urachus here. That's going to be within the median ligament of the bladder. Okay, the round ligament of the bladder, remember, that is the remnant of the umbilical artery that is within the lateral ligament of the bladder. In some of these animals, you'll see that it remains patent, and then it'll be called the craniovesical artery. In the cow, the proximal part is retained because off of that's going to come the major branch to the uterus, the uterine artery, and also in the bull, the deferential artery will come off of that. Here we have the ureter coming in. Ureter is going to then open up into the distal end or the caudal end of the bladder towards the neck, and those two ureteral orifices as well as the urethra create what we know as the trigone of the bladder. And that is all I got for you. Thanks.